What would you say to people who are maybe worried they're not sending off enough applications, or people who are worried they're sending off too many?
Blimey, it's that fine line, I guess.
Mhm.
I mean, activity is key. You need to be active. You need to be getting your name out there. Generally, unless you're headhunted or if you've got a very niche profession, especially at the moment in the marketplace, it will involve you putting your name out there. But it's not just a numbers game. That's really, really important.
Okay.
I think if you wake up on a Monday morning and think, right, by Friday, I need to send 100 applications off, you're basically setting yourself up for a really depressing week,
Yeah.
if I'm completely honest. So it's much more about being clever with what you're applying to, putting the time and effort in. Maybe even think outside the box. You know, the long gone are the days when you had to go in and hand a CV in, by person,
hmm
but it makes a massive difference these days if you do,
Okay.
because it's unusual. It's
hmm
like what you were saying previously about getting in front of people and getting those fine margins of how your name can stand out. So it's not just about volume. You
Yeah.
do need to be active, but be clever and smart with what you're applying for. Apart from anything else, psychologically, if
Mm.
you're just applying generally for something that might be a fit, what are the chances you're actually going to hear back from that potential employer and think, does my experience naturally correlate to what they're asking for on the
Mm.
job description? And also importantly, it might sound counterintuitive, but honestly, I think don't worry if you're not a one-for-one replica of that job description,
Yeah.
right? Unless there's a real time pressure on filling that job, which is, again, fair enough if that company is going for a busy patch or someone is off unexpectedly. Unless there's a time pressure, generally hiring managers like the idea of someone growing into a role. You
Mm.
don't have to look at every bullet point and think, well, that's not me. There's no point me applying. As a
hmm
professional, it's exciting to grow into that position. And from a hiring team standpoint, you're probably more likely to stay if you're growing your
Yeah.
career with that team, right?
Yeah.
And actually learning and being engaged, not just going into something you've been doing for
hmm
15 years and it's exactly the same.
Yeah. I heard someone describe a job description as a wish list before,
There you
which I
go.
thought was so
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but off the back of that, if you're not going to like this question, but if you had to
Hit
pin
me.
down a number, how many applications should I be sending off in a week if I'm actively applying for
If you're
jobs?
actively applying, I will be an annoying answeree to that
Yes.
and say rather than putting a kind of arbitrary number on just applications, think about it between Monday and Friday doing a little bit of everything. So is
Okay.
there some online or in-person networking you can be doing? Are there updates to your CV? Have you asked someone to give a second pair of eyes to one of your applications? Do something every day.
hmm
And if I was going to put a number on it, yeah, maybe at least one or two per day, but make sure
Okay.
that's not the only thing you do because it will
Yeah.
drive you insane.
Okay.
And you'll end up applying for stuff that you're not actually suitable for or might not even want. So
Great.
keep, diversity is the spice of life. Or is it variety? We'll
Variety.
cut it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So let's take that 2 applications a day.
hmm
How long should I be spending personalizing each of those applications?
It's a really good question because everything should and has to be personalized these
Yeah.
days. If you're just copy pasting generic statements into cover letters or even phraseology out of their own job advert, any hiring manager is going to see through that straight
hmm
away. So everything should be personalized. However, you should also, and I say should, that it's not a hard and fast rule, but generally you would expect someone to be applying for similar types of roles in their career. So
hmm
there shouldn't be these massive changes to be made, right? So get specific on the company, look into them, look into their recent achievements or award wins. Maybe they've had a change of structure or they've just opened a new office somewhere, something like that. Just anything that you can use to personalize your introduction at least before you go ahead and submit your application.
hmm
And honestly, making sure that your LinkedIn profile and your CV and the experience and the way that you're framing yourself in recruitment world, we kind of call it your personal brand.
Yeah.
The way that you are seen in an instant basically needs to correlate with the type of job that you're applying for because the margins are so thin and there's so many applicants and people get such a short time to make that first impression. It's really, really important.
hmm So let's just say you're doing all that.
hmm
You've got your 2 applications in a day. They're perfectly tailored. You've even dropped a CV off,
Very nice.
but it's not working. Or maybe it is. How would you best suggest to track that?
Track your progress.
Track your progress and know when do you pivot and try something else?
Yeah, I would say this might sound really old school, but I would just keep a spreadsheet.
Right.
Keep a spreadsheet, maybe a color-coded spreadsheet,
Okay.
where you can track dates. You can track the type of application that it was. Was it a instant LinkedIn, or was it a
Hmm.
handwritten? Did you hand it in person? Was it just a CV? How you came across that job as well.
Hmm.
Was it a reference from a colleague or a friend or family member? Was it someone you used to work with? Was it someone that you found directly online with a company that you just really like or are
Yeah.
inspired by? So keep a really detailed track of how you found the job, the application process and type, and of course the different outcomes and any
Yeah.
conversations you've had along the way. By doing that, you will eventually, if it has been a while and things aren't working, you will be able to see patterns. You'll be able to see trends
Mm.
on what you could do more of. Do you need to be getting yourself out there more? Are you not applying for enough instant LinkedIn quick wins,
Yeah.
and your numbers are low? Though there's more to the process than that, but you will begin to see patterns and repeat behaviors that do seem to be
Right.
getting you at least some progress or connections, and try and cut down on the ones that are just leaving
Getting
you
you
in thinner.
nowhere. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. As a recruiter,
Hmm.
how would you suggest, and also someone who's been on the other side of this job
Yeah.
search, how would you suggest structuring your days so you're optimizing for your job search?
Hmm.
You're sending the applications in, but you're also looking after yourself.
Yeah, I think sanity is completely key.
Key.
It
Yeah.
is so easy to lose yourself in a vortex of self-doubt and confusion when you're just sitting in front of the laptop all day, or even knocking on doors, handing
Hmm.
CVs in and not hearing anything back. So do everything you can to protect your mental well-being. And I guess the starting point of that would be structure your day around the times of day that are good for you. So for
Mm.
example, I'm a very early riser.
Yeah.
Yes, right. So I would quite happily sit at my laptop and read job descriptions and tailor intros and read my CV and make sure it's perfect for 2 or 3 hours before most people are even up.
Okay.
For others, it will be later in the day where they begin to get going and their attention to detail is there.
Hmm.
For me, during the day, it makes sense if I'm going to go to networking events or meet a colleague or ex-colleague to chat. That kind of makes sense to do during the day, unless it's a pre-arranged event in the evening. So just structure the day accordingly. Make sure there is some kind of rhythm and routine to it, and you're not just doing the same thing all day, every day.
Right.
And importantly, don't feel guilty when you're doing anything other than filling out a CV template or sending off an application. So if you want to go to the gym, if you want to go walk the dog, or if
Hmm.
you want to go shopping, do it. That's
Yeah.
that's
Guilt
okay.
free.
Guilt free. It's really, really important, because otherwise you'll end up missing something on an application. You won't be proofreading your CV properly, and frankly, you'll just get down inside.
Yeah.
And it's tough enough out there.
100%. So would you say maybe 2 hours in the morning and then you go off do something else if you feel like
For
it?
me personally, yeah,
Yeah.
for me personally, a couple of hours really solid, then a little break, and then back into something
Yeah.
else, but keeping what you're doing different along the way. You're doing an online course. Is there some
Mm.
volunteering that will really help give you some experience that you haven't got because you had it fed back to you on a previous application or something like
Yeah.
that? Just always be thinking there is so much more to this period of your working life than just sitting and applying for jobs
Yeah. I
online.
think that's huge. And I think a lot of people don't realize that this period is not actually as doom and gloom as you might think.
Hmm.
You actually have so much time and opportunity to get on with other things, even
So
though
true.
it's probably quite tough
Yeah.
to let yourself do that.
Yeah.
You could pick up so many new hobbies, learn so many new things, which actually probably will benefit your application.
Completely.
So.
It's completely true.